During the 1990s, Venom's spawn fused with a murderer called CLETUS KASADY, creating a new supervillain called Carnage. According to Venom's host Eddie Brock, KASADY is the worst serial killer to ever walk the earth. Body count only dictators and plagues can dream of. Born without the ability to feel compassion, guilt, remorse, or pity, Carnage grew up to become evil incarnate. However, there are a lot of things people don't know about Carnage. We know he's evil and powerful, but few comic fans know how his powers work, or who else has worn his symbiote. So let's have a look at the misconceptions everyone makes about Carnage. I am Kirsten from What Culture, and these are 10 things everyone gets wrong about Carnage. Number 10. Modern Carnage is the same symbiote as the first Carnage. Eddie Brock became the supervillain Venom after he encountered a black gooey alien known as Kilntar, or otherwise known as a symbiote. After Brock lost his symbiote, he was sent to jail, where he shared a cell with the serial killer CLETUS KASADY. Eventually, the creature found Brock and bonded with him once more. After Venom left, KASADY noticed the symbiote had left a liquid goo behind. This goo was Venom's offspring, and it bonded with KASADY, turning him into Carnage. This may be common knowledge to Marvel fans, but very few people know that Spider-Man destroyed the Carnage symbiote after one of his battles with KASADY. So, how did he get it back? Well, the alien warlord Blastar launched an invasion of Earth through a series of portals. One of the portals led to a dimension called the Negative Zone, where a dormant Kilntar awaited. As the portals opened, KASADY was naturally drawn to them as he sensed a symbiote lay on the other side. KASADY managed to locate the alien and bonded with it to become Carnage once more. Because these circumstances are somewhat convoluted, the idea that this symbiote is not the original Carnage has been dismissed in some stories. Number 9. Carnage has no family besides Venom. Carnage is often known as the spawn of Venom, implying he is only the offspring. Although he was the first child of Venom, he wasn't exactly the last. A corrupt corporation called the Life Foundation kidnapped Venom, believing they could utilize his symbiote to create super soldiers. When they learned that the Kilntar give birth asexually, they imprisoned Venom until he spawned 5 offspring: Phage, Agony, Lasher, Scream, and Riot. Each generation of symbiote is supposed to be stronger than the previous one, which is why Carnage is more powerful than Venom. However, since these 5 symbiotes didn't bond with hosts for very long, their strength pales compared to Carnage. But these aren't the only members of Carnage's family. In Venom vs. Carnage, CLETUS KASADY learned that his symbiote was pregnant. Knowing his offspring had the potential to be stronger than him, KASADY did everything in his power to kill his spawn. After Carnage's son was born, it merged with a police officer called Pat Mulligan to become Toxin. Thankfully, Toxin does not harbour the same malicious side as his father and grandfather, and allied against Venom and Carnage several times. Number 8. He's slightly stronger than Venom. Because each generation of symbiote is more powerful than the previous one, you'd assume Carnage is slightly stronger than Venom. However, Carnage is in his own league of power. Although Venom can lift 10 tons, Carnage can lift a staggering 90 tons, making it one of the strongest beings on the planet. Carnage is so mighty he has effortlessly defeated Wolverine, Captain America, and the Hulk. He also has more powers than you would imagine. He's bulletproof and doesn't need air, heat, or food to survive. Even though he was ripped into and hurled into space, Carnage survived, and his legs grew back. Also, he's immune to psychic attacks. Because he cannot be defeated with brute force, superheroes have had to be smart when trying to take on the maniac. Ghost Rider tracked down Carnage and performed the penis stare, forcing KASADY to relive every sin he committed simultaneously. Unfortunately, the stare had no effect on KASADY, since it can only impair someone that feels compassion. Now you might be thinking Carnage should be easy to defeat. Symbiotes are vulnerable to fire and sound, aren't they? Well, number 7, he's vulnerable to fire and sonic attacks. As has been shown in the films Venom and Spider-Man 3, the Kilntar are weak against fire and sound-based attacks. In fact, they are so sensitive to fire that Venom has been defeated with the flame from a lighter. Peter Parker originally got rid of the Venom symbiote by forcing it to listen to the deafening toll of a church bell. When Spider-Man first tangled with Carnage, he knocked out the malevolent alien by blasting him with a sonic wave. Okay, that sounds pretty easy. If you burn Carnage or ring a bell, he's down for the count. This may have worked in the past, but Carnage's powers have evolved dramatically in recent stories. After having his blood exposed to a dark magic called the Darkhold, Carnage became invulnerable to sonic attacks and fire. Yes, if you didn't think Carnage was already overpowered, he also has magical powers. The only thing that Carnage is vulnerable to is electricity. Ironically, Venom and Spider-Man tried to stun Carnage by electrocuting him in their first encounter, but it didn't work. This inconsistency was probably an oversight by the writers. Number 6. CLETUS Kasady can separate from Carnage. In theory, it's pretty simple to defeat a Clintar. The alien is at full power when it's leeching off its host. If the symbiote is disabled, it will separate from the host. Once Carnage is removed from CLETUS Kasady, he's just a guy with no powers. Obviously, he's still very dangerous, but he wouldn't be able to hold his own against Wolverine or Thor, could he? If only it were that simple. In the Superior Carnage miniseries, a scientist explained that Carnage is no longer a suit that Kasady wears, it's a permanent part of him. The Clintar flows through his bloodstream, since it has bonded on a cellular level and nestled into his DNA. Even if someone else bonds with Carnage, it will do everything in its power to return to Kasady. While the serial killer was in prison, he was shivved in the neck. The injury was so severe the doctor said he would be dead in hours. The symbiote could instinctively tell Kasady's life was in jeopardy and tracked him down to heal him. Even if Kasady dies, and he has multiple times, Carnage will revive him, basically making him immortal. Number 5. CLETUS Kasady is the only person to become Carnage. Over the years, Carnage has bonded with thousands of people. The Green Goblin, Norman Osborn, found a sample of the symbiote and merged with it to become the Red Goblin. Because Osborn is in his own league of evil, he forced his grandson Normie to bond with the alien as well. After Kasady was lobotomized, the symbiote bonded with a scientist called Carl Malice to become Superior Carnage. Malice fused guns, knives, and grenades to the Clintar to make him as deadly as possible. When Kasady infected the entire town of Doverton, the Avengers swooped in to try to put a stop to his madness. During the battle, Carnage managed to inflict the Thing, Captain America, and Wolverine with the alien, turning them into his minions. The symbiote eventually spread until they reached an animal preserve, forcing the remaining heroes to battle a Carnage version of a gorilla and a giraffe, which was ridiculous and awesome at the same time. Number 4. He is a genius. At first, CLETUS Kasady seems similar to the Joker. After all, they're both homicidal maniacs who thrive on spreading chaos. But there is one major difference between the two supervillains. The Joker is a tactical genius. Despite possessing no superpowers, the Joker has defeated Batman time and time again by relying on superior strategies and contingency plans. Kasady, on the other hand, is an idiot. He never went to school and so possesses no education. He knows little to nothing about history, politics or religion since he spent most of his free time playing video games and watching trash TV. Despite his mental limitations, he can overpower the greatest superheroes since his symbiote is powered by violence. Carnage didn't choose Kasady because of his intellect. It chose him because his ability to wreak havoc exceeds anyone else on the planet. When he's fighting Spider-Man or Venom, he usually doesn't have any strategies or contingency plan. He just fights like a crazed animal who loves killing. Number 3. Carnage is always evil. When Carnage was asked what his purpose is, he said it was to dance, all silly and spine-broken to the universe's death rattle. This mantra shows just how truly psychotic Carnage is. But when Scarlet Witch accidentally exposed CLETUS Kasady to an inversion spell, she removed all his evil impulses. For the first time in his life, Carnage wanted to be a hero. In his own words, "My skull is bombarded by all kinds of confusing and gross feelings and stupid emotions. It makes me want to do good." Since he had never rescued someone in his entire life, Carnage sucked at playing hero. When he saw passerbys being attacked by criminals, he shouted, "Halt, evildoer!" and "Fear not, fair maiden!" Because his name sounds terrifying, he decided to go by the new moniker, "Your friendly neighborhood Carnage Man." Yeah, it didn't catch on. His heart may have been in the right place, but Carnage never got the hang of being a hero. When he saw criminals trying to rob a bank, he stopped them by burning the building down. I mean, you can't rob a bank if it's incinerated, right? Number 2, CLETUS KASADY has only bonded with one symbiote. After CLETUS KASADY was killed, his body was stolen by a Clintar-worshipping cult. This group desired to awaken the creator of Carnage's species, Null. Because the deity's consciousness is tethered to a symbiote called Grendel, Null can only be awakened if Grendel absorbs the DNA of every person on Earth who has bonded with a symbiote. Believing KASADY was the best person to revive the Null, the cult members merged Grendel to KASADY's body, which resurrected him. It turns out Grendel was the first symbiote to arrive on Earth, hundreds of years before Venom. Null used Grendel as a vessel, hoping to wipe out all life on the planet, but he was frozen in ice, which shut down Null's mind. After bonding with Grendel, KASADY took on the name Dark Carnage. Number 1, he is the most powerful symbiote. Carnage may be powerful, but he doesn't hold a candle against the deadliest symbiote in the universe, Zurx. In the story, Kingbreaker, Zurx is introduced as one of the prisoners of the Shi'ar Empire. Zurx has the same power as any other Clintar, but to a far higher degree. As hard as it is to believe, Zurx is actually more evil and twisted than Carnage. Although a symbiote feeds off of the adrenaline of the host, Zurx prefers to eat the brain of the one he is merged to. As he fights, his host begs for death as Zurx slowly devours their brain. The Shi'ar stated that Zurx is the top 5 most dangerous beings in the galaxy, considering the Shi'ar have battled Omega-level mutants, interdimensional parasites, and the Phoenix Force. That should give you a basic idea of this Clintar's power. When an evil sentient world was chasing the Shi'ar, Zurx single-handedly destroyed the entire planet in a matter of seconds. And that's our list. What do you think of these Carnage facts? Leave us a comment below and let us know. If you liked this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. But for now, I've been Kirsten from What Culture, and I'll see you in the next video.